In this fifth and final episode in my series on Niccolò Machiavelli and his political philosophy, we will be discussing Machiavelli's advice on war and peace. He served as both a military leader and a key diplomat and used these varied experiences to help shape his views on these two crucial aspects of political leadership. Let's begin with discussing how he thought a leader should prepare for war. Machiavelli believed a leader should cultivate qualities like courage, martial skills, decisiveness, self-discipline and adaptability, in themselves as well as their troops. He thought that by leaders showing these virtues it would help inspire their military and thus be prepared to navigate the uncertainties of war. Machiavelli strongly advocated for a well-trained national militia instead of mercenary forces. He believed that such a military force would foster civic pride, loyalty, and ensure long-term stability. In his time, he saw many mercenary units refuse to fight, become rebellious or switch sides in a conflict. We saw an example of this recently in the Russia-Ukraine war when the Wagner group rebelled against Putin. Speaking of modern conflicts, given his preference for citizen soldiers, how might have Machiavelli viewed modern-day conscription? He did suggest that military service should be considered an obligation of citizenship, similar to paying taxes. He argued that all citizens, regardless of social class, should be prepared to defend their country in times of need. The key word here is defend. It is less likely he would have approved of conscription for offensive foreign military campaigns. While favoring citizen involvement, Machiavelli also acknowledged potential drawbacks. He worried that untrained and poorly led militias could be ineffective and even dangerous. This concern highlights the importance of professional training and leadership, which would also be crucial in any conscription system. In his writings, we also find that he had concerns about how long-term military service could disrupt civilian life and productivity. He felt that this required careful management to avoid harming the state's overall well-being. According to Machiavelli, men, steel, money, and bread were the key ingredients to be prepared for war. Therefore, proper logistical planning was crucial for war preparations. He stressed that meticulous planning of every element was needed to sustain a military force in the field and ensure victory should war arise. Machiavelli thought that analyzing the enemy's strengths, weaknesses, and motivations were a crucial part of devising effective strategies. Like other military thinkers, such as Sun Tzu, he understood that knowing your enemy was essential to defeating them. Also, to prepare for and to even avoid war, Machiavelli suggested utilizing diplomacy to secure alliances that would dissuade potential enemies from engaging in a military conflict. If a diplomatic initiative could successfully achieve these goals with less danger and costs than military force, it should be used. Similar to Clausewitz, Machiavelli saw war as an extension of politics. He did not believe war should be used in haphazard conquest or for a prince to aggrandize themselves. He thought that leaders needed to understand the political landscape, assess the enemy and align war with clearly defined goals. What did Machiavelli suggest once a war had started? Primarily, he advocated for swift and decisive action, striking first and avoiding protracted wars that drain resources and morale. Once committed, leaders should act decisively and avoid procrastination, a flaw he had noted in several leaders in his time. He believed delaying action could erode morale and allow the stronger enemy to gain the upper hand or a weaker enemy to escape or recruit more powerful allies. Machiavelli thought that the ability to adapt strategies and tactics to changing circumstances on the battlefield was essential. Leaders who remained flexible and could anticipate enemy moves were more likely to succeed. Inflexible leaders would find themselves in trouble when the situation changed. What about Machiavelli's reputation for ruthlessness? How did this affect his suggestions for carrying out a war? Machiavelli wasn't shy about accepting the brutal realities of war. He believed that sometimes ruthless actions were necessary in war to achieve victory. He advocated for strict discipline for maintaining order and high morale among troops. He thought that it was very important to keep troops motivated and disciplined to prevent desertions, corruption and internal conflicts that can weaken the army. But, he also recognized the importance of inspiring loyalty and motivation, since a leader's arbitrarily cruel behavior would undermine morale. Machiavelli acknowledged that calculated brutality can be used to deter enemies and solidify control of conquered territories. However, he advised against its excessive application, as it could alienate allies and undermine long-term stability. He warned that brutal methods could backfire and damage a leader's standing with his own people as well as in the wider world. Lastly, Machiavelli thought it was best to end a war quickly with a decisive victory or advantageous peace agreements. He noted that protracted wars drained resources and eroded public support. Speaking of peace agreements, let's now take a look at Machiavelli's diplomatic side. How did he suggest a leader use diplomacy to achieve political goals without resorting to war? He believed that leaders should strive to maintain peace through diplomacy and negotiation whenever possible. Building strong alliances and fostering good relationships with other nations can help to prevent costly conflicts and maintain peace and stability. However, Machiavelli thought that even during times of peace, it is important for a nation to maintain a strong military to deter potential aggressors. A powerful military is a symbol of national power and can help to maintain peace. He sometimes referred to this as being a lion. But, he also referred to a leader being the fox, meaning one uses cunning. Machiavelli recommended a savvy leader use whatever means necessary to achieve an advantage in negotiations and warfare, even if it meant using deception and other methods considered immoral. In his book, The Prince, he praises leaders for using espionage to attain knowledge of their enemies and discusses various methods of gathering intelligence, including using spies, informants, and even double agents. He advises leaders to cultivate networks of contacts within their own state and among their rivals, gleaning information through conversations, intercepted letters, and careful observation. One bit of spycraft he was somewhat reserved about was poisoning of political rivals, a common practice in Renaissance Italy. He observed that the Borgias, most notably Caesar and Lucrezia, used this tactic successfully on multiple occasions. While he mentioned that this method for disposing of one's enemies without resorting to war was effective, it also was extremely damaging to a leader's reputation. His observation is borne out by the Borgia siblings still having a bad reputation even today. To conclude both this video and the series as a whole, do you think Machiavelli's advice was primarily intended for rulers of his time and doesn't really apply to modern societies, especially democratic ones? Some modern-day philosophers and political scientists think this. However, I think that, even though we are no longer technically ruled by princes, most of Machiavelli's observations about political power are still applicable in our modern world. Do you think Machiavelli is an outdated relic of the past or a timeless and keen observer of human political behavior? Let me know in the comments where you stand. Thanks for watching. Please give me a like if you enjoyed this video and please comment to let me know your thoughts on it. Also, check out our other videos about other philosophical topics.